This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
G'day everyone, and thank you for tuning into this week's SmackDown review. I am your host Daniel, filling in still for Amanda, who's taken leave last week as well as this week. She'll be returning to review SmackDown for you as normal next week. So this will be, I guess, my second and last episode filling in the role here, and I'm really excited to come back on for the second time and give my takes on a pretty eventful SmackDown this week. So without further ado, let's just get underway. Before that though, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts on the WWE Podcast Network. We do weekly reviews across all the WWE brands. So without further ado, the show kicks off with a preview to last week of basically what happened within the Bloodlines, the new and the original Bloodlines. Obviously the original Bloodline being severely undermanned, as we saw the new Bloodline attacking and brutalizing both Jimmy Uso and Roman Reigns. So looks like there's going to be some forward proceedings, especially with what happened on Raw, Jimmy coming over to Raw and trying to convince his twin brother, Jey Uso, to again reunite with the Bloodline. And I guess that SmackDown, as you have probably seen, it goes into that and explains the storyline a little bit more. So after that preview of what we've seen within SmackDown and Raw, we get Solo Sikoa making his entrance to the ring, joined by his Bloodline companions, Jacob Fatu, as well as both tag team champions, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. As Solo does, he begins at the crowd and asks them to acknowledge him, and was massively booed here. And I think we don't give enough credit to how Solo kind of controls the crowd. We know obviously he's not the original tribal chief or the only tribal chief, but he does a really good job in playing that role very well as the fake tribal chief. And you can see all the fans are very, bitter to how he expels himself. So really got to give Solo credit to how he has controlled the crowd as a, fill-in or Kmart tribal chief, as we like to call. He then goes on to mention that his people better get used to seeing him, because you are looking at the present and the future. He also said that you're looking at the tribal chief and said that he's created a bigger and stronger bloodline. Then Solo claims that Roman and Jimmy Uso can't do anything about it. And Solo mentioned that especially Jey Uso didn't want anything to do with Jimmy and Roman, the original bloodline members, obviously because of the events that have transpired in the past, going on to exemplify the fact that no one wants to smoke with the new bloodline. The fans start chanting Yeet as soon as they hear Solo obviously mention his name, and then Solo then obviously replies, "No Yeet." He does mention that unless Roman Reigns comes to the ring and says that he acknowledges him tonight, this will continue to again happen week on week. We then get a massive surprise. Personally, it was a big surprise and was a great surprise, if I'm honest. Jey Uso making his entrance, and you could see the crowd was also surprised due to the massive pop that he received from the fans there. He did make the entrance, walking through the backstage. I do kind of like when he walks through the crowd. I feel like he gives that kind of better experience and more personal experience with the crowd, allowing them to, engage and go forward with the yeet chants there. So he obviously makes his entrance down to the ring. The funny part for me, and what Wade Barrett and Corey Graves mentioned, is Solo allowing Jey Uso to kind of complete his entrance, which would have been very annoying for them, obviously seeing him just kind of get the whole crowd to do yeets right in front of their face. And that was probably not the best start that I think Jey would have wished for in terms of aggregating Solo there, but he does mention that he doesn't want to fight him. He then says at the end of the day, he still cares about Solo since it's his brother. After that, he goes on to mentioning that he was here one-on-one. Jey told Solo to think about what he was doing to the family and to the bloodline. Jey also said nobody has bigger issues with Roman Reigns than himself, which is seemingly obvious. but dividing the family like this ain't it. So I think Jey Uso's gone with a bit of a peacemaker vibe at the moment, trying to kind of ease the tensions between the new and the old bloodline. I guess it does make sense since he's not really involved or in much with anyone at this stage. That's obviously subject due to change in the future as well. He then goes to mention that he left to be his own man, left to become the Intercontinental Championship or champion. And Jey said that fighting over the Ulafala is not it. He did say that it is earned, it's not taken, and that Solo should know that as well. And if he does want to end Roman's power, he shouldn't do it by, I guess, dividing the family here. I really like this angle because I feel like since Roman Reigns has returned, there hasn't really been much discussions between the bloodlines, cousin to cousin. It does kind of bring in that family feel that I guess Jey Uso is trying to get Solo to think about here, what he's doing to the family and what he's impacting. But it seems that Solo doesn't really care. He mentions that if Jey was done wasting his time, Solo then said he's trying to actually reunite the family, not divide the family. But I think his actions seem otherwise since he's non-stop been attacking both Jimmy and Roman. But he now then mentions that he has a place for Jey and Roman in the bloodline if they both acknowledge him. Solo didn't want to obviously follow in Jimmy's footsteps. Just look what happened and look what happened to him in the past. Obviously, Solo attacking him after WrestleMania. He then asked Jey if he's in or out. Jey then responds to mention that if Solo is really trying to bring the bloodline back together and unite it, the original bloodline, why did Solo have to bring in all the new bloodline members, the Tongans and Jacob Fatu? He then goes to say that he doesn't like the way that Jacob Fatu is looking at him. And that kind of brings up a little bit of tension there. It kind of makes it interesting because I guess Jacob Fatu is kind of the wild card in this one because he is technically cousins with everyone, but he's been a late addition to the fold. And we are, I guess, keen on seeing what Jacob Fatu can do against the likes of Roman Reigns. And we haven't really saw how him and Jey Uso have gone face to face. I kind of would like to see a match between them, maybe in the future for the Intercontinental title, but I doubt that will be the case. But a match between the two would be rather interesting, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of Jacob Fatu and his in-ring ability. And I think that he's underutilized on the mic. And I feel like once he starts getting those lines and those bookings to run some promos, I think he's going to do a really good job. He then mentions that if he sees Solo next time, it's definitely going to be different than leaving the ring, which kind of was a bit interesting to me. I'm not sure where Jay's kind of alluding to there. He has mentioned that he doesn't want to hurt or be involved with Jimmy and Roman. We obviously know that's going to probably happen soon. And I think based on this kind of altercation between the two, not really an altercation, but this dialogue, it does seem that Jey Uso's given the bloodline a reason to kind of get him involved as well, potentially now coming on Raw and I think costing him the title on Monday Night Raw. Because if you really look at it, Jey Uso didn't really need to be out there. There was no real reason for him to come out and speak to the bloodline on SmackDown. So I guess that kind of leads into what Solo is probably going to do on Monday Night Raw against Bron Breakker when they fight for the title. There is obviously the bigger picture of the Bloodline Civil War, and we're definitely looking into that now since Jay's getting involved. And what better to get, I guess, Jay more motivated to go against Solo's bloodline if they were to cost him the title as well. We then get the first of 2 triple threat tag team matches. The winner of each goes into a final round next week on SmackDown to again be the number 1 contender for the tag team champions. So we've got in the first tag team match, Pretty Deadly with Elton Prince and Kit Wilson, one of Amanda's favorites, obviously being a British tag team. The Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, as well as DIY's Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. The winners of this match, as mentioned, will face the other winners of the triple threat match, which we'll review later in the show. We did see the Street Profits being the only team to get an entrance here, which was quite interesting. Maybe they didn't have time to show all the entrances there. From the match was pretty good. We did see some good combinations between all the tag teams. I really loved the jump from Montez Ford over the top of the somersault, and it was just the landing that kind of made it much better than expected, especially since he landed straight on 2 feet statically, and it just was really. We also did see that pretty unique code breaker from the Pretty Deadly guys as well. It was funny to see how Pretty Deadly depicted in this match. You could obviously depict that they were going to be the team that was going to run away and do the dirty tactics. So it was good to see. I'm kind of a good fan of Pretty Deadly. I do like their kind of gimmick and the way they roll about things. It's good to have a different taste in the tag team division as well, especially with DOI and the Street Profits. I feel like I've seen them so many times to a point where I kind of like the new, like adding Pretty Deadly to this fold there. The match does end with DI winning the match due to the fact that they pinned the legal man, as obviously you saw Street Profits and DIY both simultaneously tagging each member of Pretty Deadly. The ref obviously doing a really good job there in identifying the true winner. And I guess it did leave the crowd very confused, but I guess it was the right way to kind of announce the winner. The ref did, again, as mentioned, a good job there. It does hide the weaknesses of the Street Profits as a tag team, but I do personally want to see Montez Ford go into a singles run. I feel like his athleticism and his performances grant a deserved singles run, and I feel like we are missing some mid-carders to compete for the US title. Maybe Montez Ford would maybe have to turn heels, but even if he does have a singles run as a face, I feel like he'd offer a lot within that division as well. We then go to backstage where Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso were arriving in an SUV backstage with the Travis Scott new song playing in the car. They obviously weren't shy to mention that the song was really good and that they never heard it yet. It's funny because Travis Scott is actually here in Australia touring, and I'll be attending his concert on Wednesday. So hopefully maybe he'll play his new song. If he does, would be pretty exciting. But anyway, going back to the review, they saw Jey Uso coming in front of them. He stared at both. And as he was going to leave, Reigns held his arm and told Jey that he was proud of him. And to which Jey replied, "Man, no yeet." He did walk into the other direction. Reigns then said to Jimmy that he told him so, and they proceeded to walk into the building. So another interesting backstage segment between Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and now Roman Reigns getting involved. It's good to see that, I guess, Roman does say he's proud of Jey. I guess personally that would have felt really good, but for the stage of and the sake of the storyline, Jey going no yeet and constantly and continuing to regret their proposal of joining the Bloodline is sensible. And I guess, as mentioned before, I think the only way Jey really joins this kind of civil war is with the Solos Bloodline costing him on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw. But I guess time will tell. We'll find out then. We then get another backstage segment. Nia getting on the phone to Tiffany, who's allegedly called in sick to work, as we say in Australia, pulled a sickie. So that leaves Nia Jax without a partner against, obviously, Naomi and Bayley there. We then get Nick Aldis telling Nia to, I guess, look for a partner. And then that's where we see Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell as well. It's good to see a lot of Aussies in WWE. We've got 4 at the moment. I didn't mention last week that Rhea Ripley came in and she was Aussie, but proud to see our Aussies in the biggest stage in wrestling as well. So they come out, and looks like that obviously Candice LeRae is probably getting the opportunity due to the fact that she is the speed champion at the moment. So just trying to, I guess, kind of promote that there. We haven't really seen them in a while, so it's good to see also refreshment in the women's division as well, with some, I guess, people that are coming back from months away from SmackDown. We then get the next match, which is between Piper Niven and Lash Legend. So it seems like that it's been 3 shows in a row since Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson have been on the main roster. So pretty good for them. Good exposure. I wasn't on the review of Raw, but I did see what happened last week, and personally wasn't happy that Io Sky and Kairi Sane lost that fight, especially in the hands of Lash and Jakara Jackson. So personally, not really a big fan of them at the moment, but I guess they're doing their job really well there. They get into gets into a match there. It's really impressive, taking away my personal opinions on them as a tag team. Lash Legend showing her real power and strength in this match. It was a really quick match, but I guess good display of showing Lash's strength. And especially since I think they're both booked as heels at the moment, it seems to be, didn't really get the crowd going. But the match ended in Lash winning, Chelsea Green doing her best to kind of distract Piper. Piper went for the finisher, obviously didn't land, and then Lash performing her finisher, which is a pretty big showcase of her power. So maybe we'll continue to see Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson on the main shows to begin. But again, a good display there from Lash Legend in her debut match or singles match. We again saw the women's tag team championships watching from afar as normal. This seems like Jade Cargill cutting her hair, which looks quite cool if I'm honest. So I don't mind the new look. Let's see if that comes with a match more than 5 minutes in the future as well, which I hope to see. I did see something online that she's supposedly on track to be ready to go for a singles run. But again, time will tell. And I guess if we start seeing matches that go for longer than 5 minutes, I can, back that statement. We then get another locker room segment with Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso just staring at Romans, which shocked him. Reigns said that if the wise man was here, so obviously hinting at Paul Heyman, all this would have been solved out by now. Reigns said that he tried to talk to Jay, and Reigns said that Jimmy had the shot, and now Reigns is going to do things his own way and fix this tonight. Jimmy obviously asking how, to which Reigns replies, "I'm going to acknowledge Solo." So that's pretty interesting that Roman is willing to, acknowledge his tribal chief. Well, not tribal chief, but this wannabe tribal chief. It means that Roman really does care for the family. So we see the events that happen later on throughout the show as well. Moving on, we get Cody Rhodes making his entrance to the ring. He was in a suit without a jacket, meaning that he probably isn't going to get into some action today. So we're going to hear, a booking promo from him. He does point out that there is a huge crowd today. Not really a massive crowd, I think, there, but considering the stadium being sold out, I think he has performed in bigger crowds. So just trying to, sweeten up the fans as Cody loves to do on a regular basis. He said that when it comes to the pantheon of top men and women in pro wrestling, somebody said to him that the next one doesn't always look like the last one. He's obviously regarding and talking about previous champions in the future, trying to kind of, build up this crown jewel champion that not everyone is a fan of due to the issues with Saudi Arabia and the deal that they've got in place there. He does speak about all the champions that if they would have fought for this championship, what would have happened. The thing is, Cody, we have seen unified champions fight each other to become an undisputed WWE champion. So it's not like we haven't seen this before. Cody, again, as mentioned, trying to hype up the fight between him and Gunther. He then goes to talk about how Gunther was respected, saying that most men were terrified of Gunther, but saying that he wasn't terrified and would bet against himself. He then mentions that when he came back to WWE, he wanted to take the John Cena schedule, which I think what he means by that is constantly defending the champion on a regular basis, which out of respect for Cody, despite how much I don't really like his promos as of late, I do respect the fact that he does defend the championship on a regular basis and does indeed follow that John Cena model. He said that he's emphasizing that he's bled, sweat, and has paid the price, but he's also not done with paying the price as well. Cody then goes on to mention that the real reason that he's leaving Crown Jewel as champion because she is about 3 feet tall, I think referring to daughter, and basically wants to set an example for her that you play not to lose, but you play to win. Then he invited Gunther to come face to face to him next week to see how they can kind of, continue to build up this champion versus championship match. It was a pretty solid promo, if I'm honest. The only thing that I kind of didn't like was how he kind of just went on about all the champions in the past and mentioning Goldberg and Steve Austin facing each other as well. I'm not a big fan of Goldberg personally, especially with, I think, what he did to The Fiend a few years ago, ruining that character. That kind of made me feel very, very ill about WWE for a few months when that was booked. But nevertheless, a solid promo, obviously building up the Crown Jewel Championship really well, mentioning his hard work and dedication and how much obviously that means to him, and also how important it is to win for his daughter. It's also effective that he has invited Gunther over to come to SmackDown next week. You can tell there's a lot of mutual respect between the two champions here, which is great to see. Something that's kind of, I guess, different with what Cody has done in the past, especially with his previous feuds with Solo as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that face-to-face goes next week. The respect might just get thrown out the window, knowing Gunther with all the kind of little shots he does take at his opponents before, I guess, getting into battle with them. We then get a video shown of Kevin Owens recording on his phone. It looks like he's in a car of some sorts or in a dark area. He does mention in this promo that he's been a part of WWE for over 10 years. He said that he doesn't like how things have felt for him, and they've never felt as bad as they have at this time. He then speaks about how WWE officials told him not to come to SmackDown, saying that it's unfair and ridiculous, which I kind of agree with, considering what Bronson Reed has done all over Raw and kind of the backstage pulls the Bloodline has done. It's not really fair that Kevin Owens kind of gets the short end of the stick here. But again, he does mention that he got dropped because of the Golden Boy outside his stupid bus, which kind of, I guess, kind of exemplifies those that don't like Cody Rhodes to get on Kevin Owens' side here. Because if I'm honest, I think this is, yes, a solid heel turn, but it doesn't feel that big of a heel turn personally for me because of my views on Cody Rhodes as well. So I really think that the sides are very split between Kevin Owens fans and Cody Rhodes fans, if you're looking at it from, I guess, a tension perspective. But I guess what kind of breaks up the fact that he is a heel from the issues with Cody Rhodes are the issues with Randy Orton attacking him from behind. And it was cool to see an extra video footage and a video angle of how exactly he did do that. So it was a hit from behind confirmed. And then goes on to mention that what we're talking about is he was most disappointed with Randy Orton. He couldn't believe that he betrayed him and took Cody Rhodes aside, and basically went on to say that with everything happening right now, he doesn't know when he will come back. We obviously will expect Kevin Owens to come back sooner rather than later, just kind of, I guess, turning onto his new gimmick and character here of just being uncontrollable and reckless, which is a Kevin Owens I'm really keen to see. And I guess we're probably going to see, before getting to Cody, his hands on Cody, a battle and a booking between Randy Orton. We then obviously do go to transition with the SmackDown general manager Nick Aldis, with Randy approaching him saying that he needs to get his hands on Kevin Owens right now, or at Crown Jewel. Aldis said that he can't do it because of the people from above, obviously referring to Triple H, to which Randy Orton replies he's not asking for permission, but knows exactly who to talk to get this match. So obviously going to have those chats with Triple H to get that Crown Jewel match, and I'm sure that they'll get that match booked for probably Crown Jewel. I hope it will be at Crown Jewel. It doesn't seem like, besides the champion versus championship matches, there hasn't been any matches scheduled or planned. Obviously got plenty of time till Crown Jewel occurs to see what matches occur, but good to see we are leaning into another potential match in Crown Jewel between Randy Orton and Kevin Owens there. We then get the second triple threat tag team qualifying match with the A-Town Down Under entering first with my boy Grayson Waller. Let's say, for those that are not big accurate depictions, I think Grayson Waller accurately depicts the Australian accent and the Australian attitude perfect. Take away the heel gimmicks and the heel moves, just from a kind of aura and attitude perspective, Grayson Waller really does exemplify what it is to be an Aussie. So it's really good to see him kind of representing us in the ring as well. Not to say that the other three don't represent Australia in their own unique way. It's just personally how I find Grayson Waller's accent and mannerisms and how he utilizes that into his promos and his Grayson Waller effect. So massive fan of Grayson Waller. And I do love the fact that he does get under everyone's skin and he plays his role really well. So Love Grayson Waller. Love what he's about. They enter the ring. They show also the end of Los Garza's entrance, who they're going to be versing, as well as the debut of the Motor City Machine Guns duo of Chris Sabin and Ali Show, as they make their official WWE debuts there. The match starts off with Waller and Angel attacking Sabin to start, and then Sabin comes back with a crossbody block that was pretty impressive. We did also see an impressive tornado DDT as well. Personally, I think the DDT is my favorite wrestling move. I know it's simple, but it's quite effective as well, and really like the different variations and executions of the DDT too. Shelley then joins Sabin in the ring, and they send all the three opponents to the ring. I was really impressed with Los Garzas in this match, especially the move when Angel held both opponents, and they hit the missile dropkick from the top of the rope, and I think it combined into a powerbomb there. However, we did see MCMG win the match. Both guys kicked Burton Sabin and also held Burton while Shelley dropped off on the top, leading them to a neck breaker top rope splash combo. We didn't get the biggest reaction from the crowd. I guess not much of the crowd must have knew about MCMG like myself. However, we did see a little bit of MCMG chants going into begin, but I guess as they continue to kind of go on week for week on WWE, we might see the crowd getting into them a lot more, especially with this performance. I think they were really, really solid on their debut there. We then get a backstage segment with Andrade and Carmelo Hayes as they were about to be interviewed by Byron Saxton. Melo shoved Andrade, saying nobody wanted to hear from him, and we got into a fight that was quickly broken up backstage, with Melo actually picking a train off the ground and punching Andrade in the ribs. So I think next week we probably expect to see Andrade wrapped up. Wouldn't be surprised there, but I guess more news on that match later on the show. We then get the women's tag team match with Bayley and Naomi against Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. It was really interesting that Bayley didn't get an entrance in this one. She really got the short end of the stick on this match as well. Not only not getting the entrance, but to the surprise of, I reckon, 99% of all WWE fans, getting clean pinned by Candice LeRae. Yes, it was with the distraction of Indy Hartwell, but again, a massive surprise there with Candice LeRae winning that match. As mentioned, yeah, it does start with pretty much Jax dominating most of the match to begin with, then Bayley getting the hot tag after, which we thought maybe that would have hyped her up there. And as I guess Bayley was about to win the match, we get the distraction from Hartwell, and then the moonsault from Candice LeRae for the pin. So a massive upset win. You could see that, yeah, Nia Jax was extremely surprised there. Again, as mentioned, with hyping this tag team up, it didn't really make sense as to why Candice LeRae was involved, I guess, promoting that Speed Championship as mentioned. But now that she's won this match, I think it has, I guess, made things a little interesting with Bayley as well, because she's definitely dropped down from, I guess, having a women's title match and being the women's champion this year to now taking a pin and to not even getting her music televised. So maybe they'll get a match between the two, and this might be a push for LeRae here for the future. And it might just open up that women's division again, as mentioned before. So I'm extremely excited to see what will happen there. Hopefully Indy Hartwell, as a fellow Aussie, kind of gets involved with this a bit more. And it'd be good to see her actually have a match as well, because I feel like it's been a while since I've seen her in ring too. We then go backstage again, back to mentioning the stipulation that's going to be implemented in that Game 7 match between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes, with LA Knight being announced as the special guest referee. LA Knight basically mentioning he'll be the best referee the WWE's ever seen. He's also made it clear that he'll be calling it down the middle, and also mentioning that it doesn't really matter who wins. He's essentially going to put them back to factory reset and be whoever wins again. So I guess a really effective promo. Again, I'm a massive fan of LA Knight and what he's done with the company. I do really hope in the future he does get that much deserved world title opportunity, because I feel like he does deserve it, and he's so over with the crowd right now. But I guess him with the US title is good for the time being. I just don't think there is a worthy opponent for him to actually beat him. So it just doesn't seem like he's at the United States level. I feel like he's much above that. right now. So hopefully he gets into those kind of world championship brackets in the future. But again, be interesting to see who win that in that part 7. I do personally want Carmelo Hayes to win because he is the younger and upcoming superstar, and I feel like he's done a really good job in selling this feud, and he's really helped elevate Andrade here, who really had not much to do before this rivalry between the 7. But I really do think that they're going to go with Andrade with the win here. I'm not sure how it's probably done. I feel like LA Knight is going to somehow get involved. Carmelo Hayes is probably going to run his mouth, forcing LA Knight to probably hit him with a BFT, and then somehow giving Andrade the pin there. We then basically get to the end of the show with Roman Reigns coming out to his new music. As I mentioned, I'm not really a big fan of his music. Again, I feel like his old music was a lot better. However, listening to it when he arrives on stage pre-planned, I feel like the music gets a lot more emphasis. What I feel like WWE should do, especially if he comes on a surprise return, or if he's trying to enter the ring to help someone out or interfere with something, I feel like they really need to skip the whole cinematics and just go straight to, I guess, when the opera person starts singing. I feel like that will allow the time to kind of, I guess, pass through those introductions. Because honestly, by the time they build up to that part, Roman Reigns will probably just be into the ring already for helping out a person there. So I think that's one way they could kind of rectify the change in music, because I do think that now, listening to it when he came out at the end of the show, you did get the ones to the sky, and everyone kind of prepared for his arrival and to a massive pop as well. So I think that's probably the best way they should, I think, personally book in the future. I'm not sure they're really going to do that, but it's something that I kind of just picked up on this show and wanted to kind of, I guess, give in my take on the music again. He then goes into the ring and is trademarked, calling out Columbia, South Carolina, but then saying maybe for the last time, acknowledge me, which is obviously not true, but I guess leading into that point that he is going to, and teasing the crowd that he's going to, so what, acknowledge Solo Sikoa there. Solo then makes his entrance into the ring, not in his black suit, red shirt, but with his wrestling gear, with the Ulafala around his neck. The other guys in the bloodline weren't with him, so it's just him on him, one-on-one, sorry. Obviously don't think that was going to be the case, as we saw. Reigns said that he heard Solo tell Jay that the bloodline was stronger, and Roman Reigns didn't see it. He said that he didn't see anything that tells him that they're better off. He also spoke about how they're actually divided and broken, so they aren't better off. Romans then talked about everything they went through during the spring and everything that they lost in the summer, and now they stand divided. Reigns also said that he told his father, mentioning Sika RIP to him, that he could fix it, and all he wants to do is put them back to the promised land. And then he also said that he wanted titles around the waist or money. Sick of Roman bringing up the money, to be honest. Just don't think it's necessary. And then he also wanted Solo to tell him how he could fix this. Solo obviously replying the best way to fix this is to acknowledge him, to which Roman replies he acknowledges. Fans obviously boo, and basically saying if that made him feel better. Solo obviously not buying to the way Reigns acknowledged him, saying that he wanted Roman to say, I acknowledge you as my tribal chief, and basically threatened that he will do something, but then to which Reigns gets pretty mad and says, or else what? Then Solo obviously replies that Roman will never change, to which then Solo mentions that he will never change either. That's when the snap of the fingers occurs, and you can see 3 of the Solo's bloodline members come out. This time with Jimmy Uso in their arms, showing that he's been brutally beat up backstage and attacked. And poor Kevin Owens probably looking at it thinking how Solo's bloodline is not suspended, emphasizing his promo before. But again, Solo then tries to attack Reigns in the ring. Reigns obviously fighting back, and then it takes Fatu to kind of break it up again, as we are mentioning, and we're looking at Fatu being the one to kind of be hidden here, and also always helping out Solo to begin with, because the Tongans, let's face it, always are the ones getting beat up. You never really see Tama Tonga or Tonga Lola turning the heads around and getting that offense. It always happens to be Jacob Fatu. As Roman Reigns does before that, is about to take the Lula Fala. We do see the super kick. And then Solo, obviously then performing the 2 Samoan spikes to Roman Reigns, which then Fatu grabbing the Lula Fala and basically worshipping Sol Sikoa there towards the end. Again, amplifying and signifying that they're going to need a lot more help, and 2 against 4 is obviously going to lead to a lot of beatdowns on a weekly basis on SmackDown. Interesting to see what will happen in the future. We're getting closer to the Survivor Series Bloodline Civil War, and it does all and confirm that we probably are going to see a civil war between the 2 bloodlines. Just waiting for obviously Jay to get involved and how that's going to happen. I gave you guys my prediction before and who's going to be the 4th member. And then as I mentioned, I believe they're going to obviously get, I think, Sami Zayn involved in this, and not really sure how they're going to do it. That's going to be the most interesting part, but I guess we'll have to continue on viewing and seeing what will happen. But again, as mentioned at the start of the show, this will be my second and last review with Amanda coming back to review SmackDown on a regular and a normal basis. But I guess for the 2 weeks filling in, it's been a pleasure, and it's been really cool to be able to come in and give my SmackDown takes. And who knows, there might be something for me to do then in the future here on the WWE podcast. Hopefully it's not the last time you guys hear from me. Hopefully you have enjoyed these 2 reviews and this week's review on SmackDown today. But yeah, without further ado, take care and peace.
Thanks for listening to the WWE podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.